Hey, what's going on, guys? So right now we're actually going to talk about invasions and how to protect your base the right way. As you can see, we're about to get invaded. So it's going to show you where you're going to get invaded from, and we're going to get invaded down here, and they're going to come all the way up towards our base. Now, the cool thing here is I want to show you guys how it's actually going to work with our defense that we have in play here. Here they come. And as you can see, there they go. And they can't make it. They're just all dead. Even our guy right now just ran into somebody and he doesn't even care. Those guys are not going to be able to break into our base. They just end up destroying themselves. And there's a trick to that, and we're going to show you what that trick is right now. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you're always aware of your defense up here. As you can see, I have 7 million fever, i.e. threat, and that is basically anything over 5 million I start to get worried about. Well, we don't get worried, but we are a little bit more on guard once we're over 5 million. Okay, so what we have to do in order to make sure that this base is fully secured and ready to go is just one simple thing. You want to make sure that the only way in to your base, naturally, that doesn't mean climbing, the only way into your base naturally is 1 or 2 entrances. So if you're going to have a full square base and you can get attacked from any side of your base, then I would suggest doing 2 entrances such as this. And that way, if you get attacked on one side, they have to make up the difference, and if you get attacked on this side, same thing. The other thing you have to remember is when you do get invaded, these invasions are going to send guys towards your wall, and then they are going to try to look for the nearest path to get towards your base. Now, if that means that they have to walk forever, eventually they're going to get pissed. They're going to give up. I think there's a timer inside their AI that says enough's enough. And they're just going to stop where they are and start drilling towards your base. They will literally just start burrowing towards your base. So if they're like running around looking for your stairs for like a long time, they're just going to say, you know what, this is good enough. And they're just going to start drilling in towards your base at that location, which is dangerous because that's not what you want them to do. No, no, no. We want to control where they're going and control how they're going to behave. So in order to do that, we have to make sure that we basically set up our base to allow entry points at the corners, so that way, like if you look at a base and it looks like a square from the top down, basically just imagine 4 corners on each side of the square has an opening similar to this over here. So this would be one opening on the side of our base where I literally allow them in this location. So they're going to say I'm going left or I'm going right. Either way, they're going to pick an aisle, and then I use walls on this side to make sure that they stay in that lane and don't wander around. So now that we've got them funneled towards this lane isn't too long. They think it's reasonably doable, so they're going to try to take it all the way into the base, because you see how it just goes right to the stairs there. Same thing with this side over here. If they attack from this side, they'll say, you know what, this is the closest path. They'll start running up this lane right here, and they're going to make their way towards the stairs here. Now, if I were to block off this area here and not allow them in here on the corner, and what would happen is if they were to spawn, let's say over here, they would say, I'm running here, I'm running around. They would run around the outside. They would come all the way over here and say, you know what, this is good enough. And they would just start marching through the center. So in order to control them, we want to make sure that we have entries on all 4 sides of our base if you're using a massive square base like this. Okay, so what happens once you get invaded? Well, this is what happens. They're going to pick a random location that they want to attack. In this case, it says they're going to attack my lumberyard. Odd. It's like, ooh, you know, that lumberyard. Like, ooh, that's high threat right there. That lumberyard, watch out. It's dangerous. You know, it's this big bad lumberyard. It's going to cause so many problems. Come on, guys. Let's go get that lumberyard. Okay, whatever. So, since they're going to attack the lumberyard, things could get a little interesting. But regardless, what you do is you look on your map, and it's going to tell you where the target location is, and then it's going to give you a red face somewhere, that you have to go find. And once you find that person, if you're to find one of these camps and you find the scout and you interrogate him, it's the same thing. So you just look for a random red face somewhere, you find him, and you just beat him down and you interrogate him. And then that'll just tell you how many guys are going to invade your base. That's all. If you don't, then you fail, and they just don't tell you how many people are going to invade you. So you just get intel. It's no big deal if you fail. Apparently, this guy somehow already died because he's nowhere to be found on the map. What if they decide to head from here and they just, for whatever reason, want to go nuts and charge your base? Well, that's what these spikes are for on the outside of our wall. Basically, what happens here is if for some reason they decide to attack this wall, this will block almost instantly any barricade runner, and it will start killing guys really fast if they hit these actual roadblocks. Now, in the case that they do make it through a roadblock, the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to start knocking down this wall. But that's okay, because we have an outside wall on purpose. What that does is then that just makes that the new entryway into our maze of traps everywhere. So really, it's best to try to like have an outside wall, or you can use spikes if you want. It doesn't matter, but as long as you have something that channels them down that long row of actual plates, then you're good to go. But when you're looking around, you're gonna see like rocks and like, what do I do about this stuff? And there is a limit to how many of these you can build. Use the landscape to your advantage if you have to. An AI is never gonna walk up here like this and just like stay here. Well, maybe sometimes they'll get stuck, but 9 times out of 10, their goal is to try to make it around your base and get towards that target location. So for something like this is fine. I don't really need any protection because none of them are going to like climb up on the rock and attack this area. So really all we have to worry about is just making sure that if they do decide to run all the way around, which they will do, they will continue to run around until they get to a point like this. And now we're starting to funnel them into our trap tunnel as well. So they come in through here and then they'll fall in there and burn up in there. Or they'll decide to run around this way and they'll take a bunch of spike damage going this way, and eventually they'll never make it to their destination. So we also have an entrance on this side, like I said, all 4 corners. So if they're attacking from the south side, they'll say, what's the fastest way to get there? Oh, we're just going to go this way, and then they're just going to go into the spikes. So really, you want to make sure that you have these tunnels. It's one of the best ways. Oh, looks like we found our our enemy scout. See, he never made it. The scout himself couldn't even make it. As long as one person's online, you can trip the invasion. So if you are getting invaded while someone's online and you have this defense system set up in place, this square, there's really nothing to worry about. As long as you set it up right, you should be fine, and they probably won't make it in. Now, it is important that you do a valve trap, such as this. And I talk about this in my base building guide that you can watch, but they're pretty simple. And as long as you have a valve trap system at all of your entrances at your base, then you probably are pretty safe. You want these to be like the last line of defense, because if for some reason they still survive the entire maze, they survive the traps in here, and they manage to get their way to here, which is rare, then they break down this wall. Now you're in trouble, because they're just going to start sitting here and start piling up and start pushing their way through these blocks. Ceilings will start come crashing down, buildings will start come crashing down, and then they'll make their way towards your campfire, and then everything turns into holy hell. So what you really want to make sure you do is have enough space of runway for them to run from. So generally speaking, I try to make sure that they hit at least 10 of these squares before they make it to a entrance of the base. Now, the number one thing that actually generates threat is XP. So if your characters, your tribesmen, or your personal character that you're on, or your friends are grinding a bunch of XP, then there's a much higher chance of increasing your fever, which will generate an invasion. So you just always want to be leery of this, especially if you're going AFK for the night and you're going to be grinding a bunch of XP. You want to make sure, like, hey, you know, we're getting a little close here. Maybe we should be aware, or at least have a defense system set up. Well, that's pretty much all I got for this video. Hopefully it helps you guys build a better base and be more defensive, so you guys don't have to worry about getting wrecked every time you get invaded. I do also have some other pretty cool videos, so feel free to check them out.
Peace out.